So I have clicked on New Creative, and that has opened the Jetpack Workshop, and I get to a brand new blank slate. So up here at the top, you see the Jetpack logo and the workshop. Workshop is the return to the listing page where you'll see all of the workshop creative that has been made by your team or by the Jetpack team and placed in your account. This is the stage type. In this case, it's a two-state superheader, and I'll get into stage types in a moment. And then we have our title. You always want to give your unit a title. That's very helpful for finding it in the future. This is demo unit for you. You might put the date, you might put your initials, anything like that that helps you find this unit again. Save. I saved that. Now that's the title. You'll see it here in the default properties of the unit. Here's cancel. That'll quit out of the workshop, return you to the main screen, and save. Okay, and under the file menu, you will see new. That'll create a new unit. Save. That will save. There's also shortcut keys for all of these. Hit Command S, Command N. Save with label. That will allow in this archives list your unit to show with the label. Like I added a new feature at this state or at this time, and then that will be indicated in the archive list. Baselines we'll get into at another time, and then of course update line items, which if any creative is associated with line items, you need to do to push your changes to the tags that are running. Line items are the same as tags. Under edit, you'll find some other features: associate media, edit tags. Tags and description are really for adding additional feature descriptions or metadata to your creative so that you can find it again in that listing. So once you have many creatives, the tags and descriptions are very helpful. Like this unit has the specific feature that I spent a lot of time on so that everyone finds it and goes back to that if they're looking for how to do something. Dated parameters is what we use for creating a date swap or something like that in a unit, like now available, coming soon. You can do that based on the user's local clock. We'll get into that feature later. View, that's preview windows. There's also rulers. You can enter full screen here to see the entire unit in full screen. Rulers gives you a pixel-based ruler at the top, as well as a slider to kind of jump between states, that sort of thing. And then stage type. Jetpack offers many different stage types, and most of those are tied to specific custom units and functionality. What we start in is a two-state superheader. There's also just banner, which is really a one-state superheader. And just to show you what I mean by stage types, I'm going to jump to an active skin, and you'll see there's a left side and a right side, and those can have unique values. Probably you want them to be the same, but again, it's one stage, but really two creatives, the left side and the right side. Similarly, other units have multiple features built into them. Window, now this opens new windows. For instance, we have an advanced JavaScript editor. I can start typing JavaScript here. If there were objects on my stage, CSS, and loading external JavaScript. So those are advanced features, but that you get to from Window. Window also relates to some of these features over here. Right here is our animation timeline. It's a keyframe-based animation. Let me go back to my two-state superheader. You'll see the two-state superheader as default and collapsed. And those are arbitrary values set over here. The collapse height and the stage height. You can make these any size that you like and jump between them right here with this toggle. The binoculars are a guide. You can upload your comp and then lay everything out based on your comp. So you have pixel perfect layout in your ad units. And then this icon here loads responsive settings. So if you do ratio-based responsive, you just want to turn on scale and then say like 1600 by 900 is my 16:9 responsive ratio. So just make sure your initial values are ratio-based, in this case 16:9. And the hand, if you had a very large stage, you could drag this around. You'll see as soon as I went to that large 1600 size, the workspace size here in the bottom right-hand corner changed to 67% to fit everything on the screen. However, I might want to see everything at full size. And what I could do then is lock this in place with the lock, and then use my hand to drag it around so I could see everything on the stage. But by default, we're always going to try to fit your creative in the window that you're in. You want to let go of the hand so that you can do something else on the stage. It's going to be 1000 by 250. I'm just going to change that back. And then again, stage state, changing the stage states. Now, over here on the right are elements. These are the modules that have been put onto the stage. They'll show up here, but also your super header, that's the unit type, has its own default properties. In this case, the width and height. I'm going to turn off responsive. The width and height, and a collapse state. In this case, I'm going to make my collapse state 1000 by 100. Okay. So I have my collapse and my default state. And if I started to add elements to the stage, I can drag these modules. Right here you see 4 modules, but we actually have more in this panel. There's about 26 different modules for specific functionality that you want to add to your unit. But here I'm going to drag a button module to the stage. I can either drag it like that, let go, and it will give me some preset functionality, like a click-through button. I can give this a name, click layer. Save. Now this layer I can resize. The other thing I can do is double click a button. It'll add it to the stage. Here we go. So now I've got 2 buttons on the stage. And separately, if I had some assets here, I could, I'm going to upload a few assets. I can drag those to the stage. These are just images, in this case, an album cover. So if I drag that to the stage, it wants to know what I would like, what type of module this is. Button module, image module, gallery module. I'm going to say this is a button module. Now button or image, they're really the same thing, but the button gives you additional functionality. It's clickable, it has a hover state. Whether or not you choose to use those features, that's up to you. But the button does have more functionality than an image itself. There's also this button here, Use High DPI. When I select that, I'm going to say this is XClan. When I say High DPI, what it does is go to half the resolution, half the size, double the resolution on the stage. So here's my XClan button. My button action, I didn't set one, but we'll do that in a minute. I'm going to delete these other modules because I do not need them. And right there, I just delete it with an X over here. Great. I'm going to drag something else to the stage, another album cover. When I do that, I'm going to say this is an image module. Again, high DPI, add this. Now, high DPI goes to half the resolution, half the width and height. I can still resize. I can make it way bigger, smaller. It doesn't matter. Everything is arbitrary. Images have some other features as well as buttons. Here, scale to fit, scale to fill, stretch to fill. So at that point, if you unlock your aspect ratio over here in the properties, this will get skewed on that setting, or stretch to fill, scale to fit. Those are all different features for an image module. And you find those over here in your properties left-hand rail. So now we've got a couple items on the stage, over here and over here. Now that they've been added to the stage, if I open my animation timeline, you'll see those exact same names from up here in the animation timeline. And I can click on the stage to add a keyframe and figure out what I would like that keyframe to be about. Positioning, if I wanted to animate that across the screen, that sort of thing. We'll do another video on the animation timeline, but I just wanted to open that up now that there was some specific functionality in the unit. So each module that you have selected will highlight its own properties over here. We have a style sheet that's common to everything. I can add my own CSS class to something and then affect it with program CSS, or I can change the height, that sort of thing, and position. My button, because that's a button, I have my default image, but I also have a hover image. And if I wanted to associate a hover image here, I can either double click an asset over on the right hand side, or click this little pencil icon here and it shows me all of the images that I uploaded. No good reason to do this, but when I hover over XClan, I'm going to see Dr. Dre. Okay. Now we get to actions. What if I click on that button? Well, I can create an action by clicking the lightning bolt over here, and I see any actions associated with the button named XClan. I click the plus button here, and you'll see click on XClan. What does it do? Well, on click, I'm going to say I can take the unfinished business and hide it. Okay, that's the button over there. When I click on this, I'm going to hide that. I could do other things, but you get the gist. This is an actions panel with many, many options. Now the stage has totally different actions. I can say here, on the stage, when the stage is loaded, I can add additional functions. Say on stage loaded, I can frequency cap, things like that. That would allow you to load expanded one time and then collapse, things like that. Well, I'm going to save my unit and preview it in a new window. And you see my rollover state here, XClan to Dr. Dre, and I click and EPMD goes away. So I refresh, EPMD shows up again, click, it's gone. Very, very basic, but it shows you some of the functionality that the Actions panel gives you. Finally, we have our assets window here. I did upload 4 assets at once. You could also upload a zip file. And I uploaded by hitting this plus button, and then it loaded my window, my file preview on my computer. You can also sort these by file type or name. In this case, they're sorted by date. I can download the assets from this unit as a zip file. For instance, if you wanted to provide someone the assets that you used, that could be helpful. And then there's another view. I can see folder view. Like if I had uploaded a zip, I'd still see the folder structure that the zip uploaded in. And this 4-square unit here, this icon, loads this in a new window where I can resize these guys so I can see my assets a little bit clearer. And again, if any specific module is double-clicked on the or single-clicked on the stage, these objects become available. I double-clicked on Flavor Flav here, double-click, and that's going to be swapping this image by saying that's my default image, select. Now Flavor Flav was a different size, but the Jetpack platform already knew that it was a different size and allowed the entire module to resize to the new size of the image at a high DPI. So again, I've reassociated an image here, but if I refresh this, you'll see Flavor Flav show up there with Public Enemy. I click and he goes away. So I didn't need to make any other change other than associating a new image to that window. Finally, you see media size. This is the file size of everything that I uploaded. I did not optimize these images before I uploaded them, so they're a little bit large. You'll see when I turn off high DPI on these guys that they are large images. But it shows me the file size of the media that's associated to the unit currently. Now if I, again, swap unfinished business for the EPMD album cover here, my media size is going to drop. I think Dr. Dre is the big, let me unassociate Dr. Dre. Media size dropped to 75K. So that gives you a little indicator of size, as well as position. This is at -1 and 0, which maps